Hi everyone, I promised you a Kermit frog mould making special, and here we have a load of Kermit. Here's the original one, of course. He's still not looking too bad after his bath. He survived being drowned in a mould again. So let's put him over here, he can supervise. Right, what I've done is I've made some more originals. With the mould that I took from Kermit, I made these two. And this was that mould. And you can see I haven't even cleaned it yet. But look at the flat bottom. I've got a nice neat flat bottom on it. But then I had a brainwave, and one of these Kermits, I actually sat in a little bed of resin. Now, the bottom of the cup, it's one of these cups again, obviously came off with the resin, but that doesn't matter. But what it's done is it's created this nice little rim. So whenever I want to make another one, I just plonk him in there. And instead of getting the bottom like this, which looks fine, I get this, which I think looks beautiful. So we have an upgrade mould, but of course these are still satin finish. So here's our latest batch. I'm just going to turn another one out, and I've deliberately made two of them using Eco Pour. That's the better one. And the reason I've done that is I'm going to do some effects with these. First of all, I need to replace my gloss finish Kermit, because as you can see, the original Kermit produces these matte finishes. And so Eco Pour, one, it cures quicker, and two, it also takes varnish easier. So this little guy, I'm going to be taking outside and varnishing him, and I should be doing that with just a kind of spray varnish. It's just some clear varnish that I've had kicking around. Is a spray can. I'll show you in a minute. And then we'll make another mould out of him, and then that will be our shiny one. Now the remaining one, while that one's drying, this remaining one I'm going to do something a little bit of fun with, because I had a bit of a brainwave, and so I want him to become another new original for me. So let's get this guy sprayed, and we'll move on and play with this one. So this is the spray varnish I'm using. I think they use it for cars and stuff. I don't know what they use it for. It's just, what do they use it for? No idea. Anyway, I just use it for doing this sort of thing with. Now, I am going to need to spray him. So, like I said, I'm going to take him outside where I can spray and it won't go everywhere and make a total mess. And it will be probably 3 or 4 even very light coats, just to get a real good gloss finish, because the first coat will just absorb straight into the Eco Pour. It's a bit like, you know, how plaster behaves when you paint on that. So let's get that done, and I will be back. While this one is drying, we'll do what we're going to do with this one. Okay, so guess what, people? I confess, I forgot to press record. I can't believe I did that. Let me turn this off. All I've done is I've put a bit of UV resin in this pot, and I've got a micro brush which I've dipped in there, and then I've just put dots on him, and then part cured each one with a little high-powered torch so it didn't dribble off while I was putting them on. I've also done his eyes. I've just given a little coat of clear, and I've put him some dots on his nose as well. So can you see the standing proud? I'm so sorry. I can't believe I didn't press record. I could do another one. If anybody wants me to make a video just showing this bit at some point, let me know. I'm not planning on doing it now because I think you'll probably get the idea. But if you do want me to, do let me know, because I will. I will, I'm sorry. Right, there we are. And anyway, yes, I just stood up to put my big UV lamp over it to give it a final cure, when I realised that, because by then I could see my camera up here, and I realised I hadn't pressed record. Darn it. Anyway, I'm going to go and see if that little white one is ready for another coat, another spray. So I'll be back shortly. He was, so I've sprayed him again. Right, obviously I can just clean my pot out by doing that, which is really easy, isn't it? And these dots should be well and truly cured. So all I'm going to do is exactly the same as I did to make this mould. So I will show you what I do now. We're going to put, first of all, a very thin layer of resin in the bottom and let that cure. So that's our first little job. And I'll be using a very quick cure resin. To be honest, I might as well just mix it up in the pot. This resin is Apex 1 coat. Excuse the obviously very pre-used stirring stick. I use them over and over again, and this one somehow got stained. Anyway, yes, the reason I'm using Apex 1 coat is it cures in... Well, theoretically, you can demould it in a couple of hours if you've got a decent temperature room. I won't be, because I'm leaving it in. This is just how I made that base. So I'm going to walk you through, because I think I think it's a bit of an upgrade on these moulds. So those of you who've been following my how to make moulds videos might approve of this. Right, I'm literally going to let that cure now. So I'll be back in, it doesn't need to be 100% cured even, so I'll be back in an hour and a half or something. By which time the little white frog should all be gloss coated as well. I can show you actually, I brought him in. It's coming along, I'm getting little bubbles on it, but a few more coats and I think we should lose those. I am kind of rubbing them off like this. Don't know why that's happening, but yeah. I think he'll be done in a couple of hours as well. I'm going to let him dry really thoroughly between these coats anyway. So I'll be back to show you what we do next with him, but it'll be a similar process. Anyway, you're seeing some new moulds for my store being born, by the way. So I hope that is of interest to you, and I'll see you later. Okay, it's been another half an hour. Little froggy's coming on well. I think it still needs another coat because I want him to be really shiny. But he's doing all right. I'll take him back outside and have another go in a moment. Right now, this one, this little guy, that is more or less cured. So I'm just going to get a very, very thin layer of resin and put on top, sit the little frog in. I'll show you what I mean. I want to do, I want to show you something. If I just sat the frog in there and poured this resin around him to kind of stick him down, what I'll end up with is his feet will sink. So instead of having this nice little rounded feet like this, they'll end up like that. See the difference? Little flat feet. Which is fine, but it's not as good, is it? So we're going to put him, first of all, before that goes in, we're just going to put a layer of UV on the bottom, and literally we're just going to dome the bottom of it. And this is simply so that it raises him up a little bit. And obviously UV resin is the quickest and easiest way to do that. So that is all we're going to do. Just give a quick run round with my Apex UV resin. For the epoxy, for the base of the mould, I'm just using one coat again, Apex one coat. It's literally been, I put a heat lamp on that and it's been half an hour and it's still slightly tacky, but it's pretty much cured. So that's ideal, I think. Right, out with a UV lamp and I'll just cure that up, and then that's our base for him sorted while I finish stirring the resin up. I'm just holding him to keep him upright while it does that initial firming up. Right, there we go. To make sure he's okay. You okay? He's all right. There you go. Got to check on these things. So this Apex one coat that I use for very shallow pours and things I need to cure quick, it's very, very viscous. But what's funny is because it's really warm in my craft room today, it doesn't feel any more viscous than the Apex High Gloss that I use for pretty much everything other than this. In fact, I usually use High Gloss for doing this with. It's very rarely I actually use the one coat, because although it cures really, really fast, I think sometimes I don't want it to. I want it to take its time. But anyway, it's perfect for this sort of thing. And it's also very heat resistant. So if anybody's not come across it before, it's great for making coasters and things, because it's, you know, it'll handle your really hot cup of tea and things like that more than probably other resins do. This is it. There you go. Apex one coat. It's a 1-to-1 as well. It's really easy, and I get the ones that come with a pump on the top. Look, they do smaller bottles as well, of course. So what we're going to do then is pour that in. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to need all of that. We just need to get a good coverage on the bottom, really. And this is how we get that nice bottom to the moulds, or what becomes the top. Which means that when you're using them, you can overfill them very slightly without making a mess, and you get a nice finish to the edge, as you saw with the little white ones, because those were done in those moulds, weren't they? So I don't know if you've seen anybody do this before, or whether it's a thing I've invented. I doubt it. But it's definitely an upgrade on my previous mould making techniques. So if you've been doing them the previous way, following my instructions, then go ahead, carry on. That still really works very, very well. But I'm just really pleased with this slightly improved finish on the bottom of the moulds, especially when I'm going to be selling them. So that's just raised this little base up just a little bit. I'm going to do another layer actually. Now obviously that resin can sit for a couple of minutes while I do this, so I'm just going to put another layer on, just bring it up a bit more. While that's curing, just going to make sure that's spread around all over. Give it a quick flash with a torch. This is my burn your house down torch. You have to be really careful because obviously this is a paper cup, so don't do this. Okay, don't do this. I'm simply doing it to dissipate the bubbles. They will dissipate on their own anyway, but that just speeds it up as we're going to be sitting the frog on top. So I'm just going to give that 3 minutes. We'll lower our little guy in. Got a little bit left over in my pot. Just going to tip that into a random mould. Random mould I've been using lately. You can see what the state of it is. One of those handmade crystal moulds from Into Resin. Look at this. Look at that. That was the bit that was left over from making this frog. These are some bits of clear that were left over. They're fab. Need to clean the mould really. Amazing. Anyway, yes, little bits like that end up being little presents for people, or little tiny pocket hugs. You know. Anyway, yes, let's pour that in there. We'll keep something to hand, don't you, for your leftovers. Okay, so his bottom's cured now. So you see what I mean? Just got a very slight dome to it. It's just thickened him up a little bit so that he can sit nicely. Oops, it's very slippy. Sit nicely onto that resin. Yeah, it's definitely less viscous today because it's warm in here. Right, I'm going to need to keep coming back and checking on him because clearly he's going to keep slipping to one side, isn't he? I wonder if I can bung something down that edge there. What have I got? Nope. You know what? I'm just going to hang on to him till he stops sliding around. Oh no, hang on, I think we're there. Push the air out from underneath. There we are, that's got him. Right. Now, because I'm impatient, I am going to put a heat lamp on that again. It should mean that within an hour we'll be able to get some silicone in there and see what it looks like, by which time, hopefully, I'll have made progress in a similar way with the little frog that I'm spraying to make shiny. So, I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I did a proper goof here. I put my little piggy original into the resin and then walked off and left it, and look what's happened. You know it's supposed to be in the middle? Trust me, that is not a camera trick. It is not in the middle. Anyway, yes, I was making little piggy moulds and it all went horribly wrong, so I'm making another original here. And I've got this little guy as a spare. Right, now we have got the frog. I put one of my little bungs. These little bungs, by the way, I make them out whenever I've got a bit of silicone left over, I leave it in the pot. And that was clearly a funny shaped pot, because they make little squishy bungs for holding things in place, or for, you know, propping things up or stopping things sliding around on my mat. Dead handy. Now, he now needs some silicone pouring in around him. And I'm doing a second one as well, just in case, but this little guy, I've just put a final coat on him, so, and it's drying nicely, so I'll be doing him in a second. But look how shiny he's got, isn't that nice? So I'm doing a second one. I thought there was something wrong with this one, because there's a funny mark there, but it actually turns out to just be, it's smooth, there's not a bit missing or anything, so I am going to shine him up as a spare as well. So let's get the silicone in this one, and then I'll simply do the same with the, oops, put that down. And I'll simply do the same. Let's move you in. There we are. It's looking good, isn't he? And I'll do the same with the shiny one. And then we're going to end up with 3 moulds, aren't we? We're then going to have this original for making this shape, this nice shape bottom. And we're going to have a speckly one, and we're going to have a shiny one. So let's get the silicone into this one. If you can hear any noise in the background, it's because my other half, who knows I'm filming, has decided that this is a good time to vacuum. Oh well. I'm trying a different silicone here as well. This is just in case Let's Resin ever stop doing my favourite silicone. I'm trying the Tea Expert one out, and I'm actually finding it very good. So I'm very happy that I've got an alternative, actually, which reminds me I need to ask Let's Resin if they can spare me some more silicone. So as usual, I have bought some for the things that I'm making to be for sales. Anyway. As you know, the way it works, I do get sent stuff for free. When I'm testing and trying stuff out, and making things for myself and things that are going to be on videos when I'm experimenting, learning, trying things so that I can show you, all that sort of stuff, then of course I do use the materials that sometimes I have been sent very kindly by the suppliers. When it's stuff that's going out to be sold, then I do actually buy the silicone, because that is the right thing to do. Which reminds me, I need to buy some more. But yes, as we're making prototypes here, I'm very happy to be using the stuff that I've very kindly been sent so that I can show you. So, trick with silicone, mix it up really, really thoroughly, obviously. Now, this is the difference between cheap silicone. You won't get it as lovely and squishy as this. This is the resin one, I think it was. This one definitely was. Look how lovely and squishy that is. And it just lasts. It wears really well. It's easy to demold. It's just, and it's so easy to use. You just tip it into a cup, 50-50, you know, 1-to-1, however you want to express that. Give it a darn good stir. Make sure you get down into the corners. Any bubbles that are in it will release, and yeah, it's smashing. The Tea Expert one I'm finding very similar. It does take a little bit longer to cure, this Tea Expert one. But otherwise I'm finding it, like I said, very, very good. And yes, the cheaper ones, sometimes they'll go hard quicker, they won't last. This cheaper silica just won't last as long, it goes hard, not as easy to demold. If you find a cheap one that is better, then, you know, well done. I'm sure, yeah, they may well be out there. But I've tried so many different sorts, and I keep coming back to the fact that, you know, your proper quality brands, like with the resin, really, they are streets ahead. Of course, you can get silicone that's coloured as well. Usually those come with, they're not 1-to-1. They're you get a big bottle of the actual silicone, and then you get a catalyst to pour in, and the catalyst is usually coloured, and that's how you end up with these sort of like coloured moulds rather than this translucent effect. I tend to stick with, which I do use as well, to be fair. The Nick Pro one I find particularly good. It's a pretty minty green as well. But I tend to, whenever possible, use the translucent ones, because then if you're doing smaller stuff, you probably wouldn't with this, but if you're doing smaller stuff, and so you want to use your ultraviolet curing lamps, then you can. So if you're doing little jewellery pieces and things like that. Right, so time to drown another frog. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? I've mixed up enough this time. It never ceases to amaze me how much silicone these take. And I haven't actually got any scraps I can add this time. Right, you know the routine. I'm just going to fill it up, and then I will be back with you once this one's cured, once the shiny one's done, and we might as well get the pig out while we're at it, mightn't we? See what he looks like. I'll be back with you in a few hours. Okay, so I think we've got our frogs all set. This one is the spotty one. It's now fully filled up with its silicone. I've started to make. I've put some quick cure resin in the bottom of that to make the first layer of the base. I'll then be coming back, which you don't need to see me do again, because I'll do exactly the same as I did with the spotty one. I'll be building up a layer on the bottom of here, just of the UV resin, just to stand him up a little bit, so that we get that nice rounded effect to the bottom. And then I'll fill that up with silicone as well. And yeah, we should end up with 3 basically like this. It's still got the card on the bottom because I can't get it off. That doesn't matter. Because in future I'll just be able to drop them straight into one of those little cups and they'll be made. So what we'll do then, once we've got all 3 of our masters into silicone, we've got our silicone cured. Next time you see me, I will be demoulding these 2, and we will do a test cast of them all to see what they look like. Then of course the new design can go into my store. Right, see you later. Okay, I seem to have things to demould all over the place. Now my pig isn't going very well. Sorry, this is a bit of a side one going on here. I need a better original. This is going to be another one of those make an eco pour one and spray it jobs. So I'm going to put that to one side. Anyway, while I was doing the pig, I poured this. Do love this mould. Anyway, there we are, that's that. So that's all the side issues. Now, so this little guy, we can now do our next layer. Let me just get some gloves organised. Okay, so again, just a little bit of the quick cure resin. Of course, I could have done, didn't think about that, but I could have done that polyurethane, that would have been even quicker. Anyway, let's get this one in. Are you starting to get a sense of why handmade moulds, you know, when you buy them, they take so long to be made sometimes, unless they've got a few in stock? You know, developing your original is the thing. Once you've got your original, then you can mass produce them. Now, of course, with this, I'd already got most of the way towards an original because of Kermit, which I have checked. There's no copyright issues with Kermit. It was never copyrighted, that design, as far as I can find out. But if you've got to design and make your own original with polymer clay or with crystals or with whatever it is you're working with, then you've got to go through this whole process. Then you get a whole load of failures. My crystal edge mould was done like that. I think I must have got through hundreds of pounds worth of silicone and resin developing the original for that. Then, of course, if your original gets damaged, this is why I'm making myself duplicates of these. I'm going to keep duplicates and several master moulds, because once I've got my original, I can keep remaking these to go in my store, can't I? But like in the case of this, I lost my original, and like with a pig, I need to make another original, and so on. So yes, handmade moulds. Now we know why they're expensive. And of course, if you make your own anyway, then you wouldn't have done all this process. Then, well, you know. You don't need me to tell you, do you? Right, so again, we're going to build up the base of this little guy. Now, of course, resin sticks reasonably well to EcoPore. The other way around, it doesn't work. EcoPore doesn't stick very well to resin at all. If you ever want to make a half a mould, that's how to do it, by the way. Fill half of it with EcoPore first, and you'll end up with half a mould. Right, just get the bubbles off that and the UV lamp on it. Probably going to do 2 layers, raise him up a bit, and then fill that one up. We can get this one on demoulded while we're here though. Quick zap, let's give it another coat. Not too worried about bubbles, as you can see. Normally, if this was, you know, to be the top of a finished piece, I'd be running a torch over it to get out the last, to get those bubbles out. But we're not going to see them anyway, are we? They are. This is literally just to raise the base of him up. Apex UV resin does tend to degas pretty well anyway. So we're just going to put this under the lamp for a bit. That feels pretty solid. While that's doing, let's demould this mould. And this is all I do. I just peel so these little cups do get destroyed. There's no reusing these, I'm afraid. However, the material is paper. It is recyclable. It can go into my recycle bin. Oh, this looks like it's still a little soft in the bottom. So we'll be leaving this a bit longer. Now don't forget, you do want to leave your moulds a couple of days before you actually use them anyway. Because, yeah, it's just want to make sure that the silicone is completely cured up. I'll get that last bit off shortly. That should be cured up now. Yeah, that'll do. Of course, it doesn't matter if it's slightly tacky anyway, does it? Right, now this little guy wants to slide around. This is the problem I had before. So where's that bung gone? There it is. Press him down a little bit. All I'm going to do is just sit that bung there. That'll just stop him sliding. I will come and check on him in a bit though. Are you staying put? Because this is important. I need to get this one done. I have got an order for the shiny mould, which is what's prompted me partly. You keep walking around, don't you? To crack on and do these. That nobody was nagging me after I chickened out at the end of the last video that was on mould making. It was going to end up being a bit too long. So what have I got made? I've only got one good original Kermit mould, haven't I? Oh no, 2. We've got 2 of the originals. So that's okay. I've got a little bit of a stash of those. I don't need to do any more of them. What we'll do though, while that's curing, I was making one of my pig moulds because I've got an order for that. So as you saw, the original wasn't coming out of that very well. Let's get some let's get a little bit of Eco-Core mixed up and we'll do the whole process. We'll do the whole process again with a little pig. You need a bit for this one, he's only little. Eco-Core's quite forgiving as well, you don't have to worry if you're very slightly too runny or very slightly too thick, unless you're trying to do a specific technique like marbling. Then you want to get it to the right consistency to do that, but for this sort of thing, I don't measure or anything. There we go. Oops. A little bit more. Ooh, how nice and white this stuff is. Shooting it everywhere. If anybody's intrigued by this Eco-Core stuff and you haven't seen it before, I have got a whole playlist called Resin Alternatives. And yeah, there's a whole load of stuff on Eco-Core in there. It's a bit like mixing up plaster. You just add water, as you've seen. And so it's all safe and everything. Safe and eco, and you know, you can use it with kids and things. It's good stuff. And it dries like a quicker than plaster, I find. And it's you end up with something that's a bit like almost ceramic once it's really fully dried after a few days. You know, every little bit of moisture's gone out of it, and you've sealed it with, if you need to seal it, it depends if you put it anywhere that's going to keep getting wet, like a bathroom. But yeah, you end up with this nice ceramic-y type feel of a finish. Right, again, I'm going to see you. We'll leave it a couple of hours for this, and I'll do this. Then I'll put the silicone in. I'm just going to leave this another hour probably, and we'll get this apart. And we're going to end up with a 3 so that I can do like a test cast off each of them, aren't we? Right, sorry if this is a bit bitty, but this is reality. If I'd got more organised, I could have production lined this a whole lot better, but because I've been kind of doing it as the, you know, as one bit's ready, do the next and so on instead, then yeah, it is taking a little bit longer than, it's a bit bittier than I would have liked really. Hopefully it won't look too bad by the time I put this together into a video and edit it. Oh, and I've had my nails done in the middle of it, that's how long it's taken. Right, I'll see you later. Right, so just round to the last frog. Demoulded this, forgot to press record. But as you can see, let's get him out. Little frog with the shiny spots on his back. There are now little shiny spots in the mould as well. And I can see his eyes look as if they're shiny and everything. Assuming he's worked, we'll see. It's just tidy up some of the card on the bottom. Doesn't matter if it looks a bit messy because that is not going to have any impact on the future makes. So any more I make, I'll just drop him into a pot, fill him up with silicone, job's a good one. So I've poured the silicone in with this one. So we'll see what that is like in the morning. As you can see, the bubbles are just popping on the surface of it. They're just starting to clear. Do that knocks the bubbles out as well. So in the morning then, yes, the plan will be, we'll turn this one out as well. We'll have a good look at them all, and we will then make some frogs. We'll try this mould, we will try the shiny mould, and we'll make another one out of one of our satin finish moulds. And then if they've all gone to plan, I shall start producing these to go in my store as well. The shiny one and the matte one are already in store. The spotty one isn't yet, so we'll see what everybody thinks of it and get that one listed too. Now, if you're liking these videos, then please do subscribe. It's completely free. The button's down here. Just click that and hit the notification button that pops up. That means you'll be notified automatically when I put out any other videos of funky, interesting stuff that you might like. So thank you very much to those of you who've done that already. And to those of you who leave me thumbs ups, the likes, and put comments in the comment section below the videos, thank you so much. As you know, I do try to reply to all of them, and if there's any things you particularly like me to demonstrate or any questions you have, pop them down there in the comments and I will have a look at them for you. So I will see you in the morning and we'll do like a grand finale of testing them all. See you tomorrow. Right, let's see what's going on here then. So this should be our shiny. It's the next morning, by the way, so these have had a good long time to cure. Now I'm doing these quick because I want to show you, and there is a caveat to all this. Apparently you do need to wait a few days, really, they're 2 or 3 days, something like that, before you use your new silicone mould. Oh, look, Because, am I going to be able to get that out? Yes. Oh, actually, it's this I need, isn't it? Not that. That's my original knackered though, isn't it? I have to make yet another original. Anyway, yes, and that's because apparently the silicone needs to be allowed time to... Oh, I should be able to, yeah. The silicone needs to be allowed time to really, really cure properly. Because we're making a video, I'm just going to go for it. And I have to say, that looks really well cured to me. Need to tidy up around the top a bit. But let's give them all a try. I'm just going to rinse this one out because it's got a little bit of eco pour in there, I think. What we got in here? There's some couple of little surprises I've got going on here as well. As you know, the pig I'm still working on. Inside here somewhere. A new frog mould. Look at that. So I've got to do a bit more development on this. It'll be in the shop soon too. Just thought I'd show you that while I'm at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck some resin into these and see what they look like. We already know what the matte finish one looks like, what this one looks like. And that'll also make it easier for me to make the next original of each. Because I want to try and end up with 2 or 3 originals for each one. Because that way I shan't have that problem. If I've lost an original, I've got a problem. Let's mix the chameleon powder in with it once I've got it stirred up. Because that's a good way to see what the shine does. So this is a Let's Resin one, and it's, what's it called? Galaxy. It's got all sorts of colours pop out in this one. And I've put quite a lot because I want, this is a big pot of resin anyway. Well, biggish. So my thought with putting a chameleon powder in it was, like I said, it should show up the shine. Now, it's a very different effect to painting your chameleon powder on the inside of a mould, obviously. We could actually do that as well. In fact, I might do a full set of those at some point. But anyway, in the meantime, for this particular one, I was just going to mix it in with the resin because I just want to test the moulds out, really. So, half fill, give it a squidge, you know, the usual routine. And the good news is it looks like we're going to have some sun here today in the UK. So that means I should be able to show you the finished results rather more effectively than I normally have been lately. It was nice when we were having all that lovely sunny weather and I could get them outside and show you the results properly, wasn't it? Dripping everywhere, making a mess. And I've got a bit left again. What should we put it in? Let's put it in one of these. Not tried doing this sort of resin mix in the inter-resin crystal moulds. So let's see what they do. Right, let's see if this has worked. This is where I chucked that last bit of resin, by the way. Oh, that's come out nice, hasn't it? Hey! Anyway, there we go. Let's have a look. These should be cured by now. So is this the spotty one? We'll soon see. Yes. And have the spots worked? Oh, he's got a little bit of trimming I need to do. I overfilled slightly. But yes, the spots have worked. As you can see, they are shiny. I've also got some little air bubbles. I obviously went a bit mad there. But his eyes are now shiny and his spots are shiny. Happy with that. So we have a new master mould. Well done, this Kermit. Ah, I can see the little spots. Ah, there we go. That's given him a nice effect, hasn't it? He's got this kind of overall spotty effect. Love him. And a spotty chin too. That has created quite a nice overall effect. I like it. We now have a warty frog. Right, let's have a look at the shiny one. Fingers crossed for this one, because this one I really do need to get out a mould to a customer. Yes, we have a shiny. That is good. So I have, again, a new original. He's got the spotty chin and the little spotty bits on the underneath of his knees. So that's good. And I think we are there. Look at the shine on him. Isn't that good? I'm really pleased with that. So we have people. We have 3 types of frogs. There's our originals. And where's the original Kermit gone? Oh, no, the first one for this one. Ah, there we are. Okay, we have moulds, everyone. I'll stop waffling now. As you can see, we've got a matte one, which is the original Kermit mould. We have got our warty spotty one with all the little details. And we have got a shiny one, again, with a few little spotty details. Isn't he lovely? So there we are. Going into store. Well, these are first of all going to go straight into my pot to make some more moulds, because at the moment these are the only ones. There you are, folks. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you soon for the next one. I have been asked as well to do a video on using that putty, silicone putty, and I have got a beautiful purple one from Just For You online. So yeah, I will be doing that soon. I have such a backlog of videos again that I promised to do, but keep the requests coming. I will get to them all as soon as I can. So take care, everyone, and I'll see you for the next video. Thanks. Bye.
Little plastic frog on the desk, crafted with love and care. Watch his hands move so quick, in the light he starts to stare. Another frog springs to life, bright green just like him. Joy fills his tiny heart, his world no longer